Before we start, I'd like to explain what the study of iridology is about. This is a part of the evaluation that we do. Mayo Clinic used iridology for 46 years. It was taught at Harvard Medical School until 1923. You can see here there's a definitive ring around the pupil. That represents the stomach. If this tissue is bright white compared to the rest of the tissue, then that means it's an over-acid stomach. If it's dark like this, then the person is lacking hydrochloric acid. They're going to tend to have gas, belching, and burning, and this is a very common symptom. Many people come in with this problem. The problem isn't an acid deficiency. The problem is that they're lacking enzymes. Enzymes, there are many different types of enzymes, but these are the enzymes that are in the food. And people would come in and they can't even digest fresh fruits or vegetables. And that was very confusing to me until I realized just as the soil is depleted of the minerals, therefore the body can't really utilize the vitamins properly. There is a depletion of the enzymes also. The enzymes help break down the food. The hydrochloric acid breaks down the food in the stomach. So without the pancreatic function, which breaks down, and it produces about 22 indigenous enzymes, the enzymes inside of our body that break down the food. So every aspect of digestion in almost everyone is compromised to some degree. So the food goes into a dark, wet, warm environment called your stomach, without enough acid, without enough enzymes, without enough good bacteria. And that's why the fermentation takes place. That changes the pH in the stomach, and the top valve of the stomach does not open and close properly. Gases build up and you think, oh my, I'm over acid. So you take an antacid, and that quenches the acid of the fermenting food. But the underlying problem of low hydrochloric acid is made even worse. So it's a treating of the symptom, but it's more than that. It's causing a greater imbalance to the digestion. So it's very important that we use a really good quality food enzyme. They help to break down the fats, proteins, carbohydrates, sugars, and fiber. And that makes things work much better. And that's really important. And this study bears that out. You would think I would see many overacid stomachs, but almost always the people that come in and their stomach is burning, it indicates low hydrochloric acid. So that's a way that we've been able to use it and help people with their digestive issues. There are breaks in the tissue here on the iris. When it's a closed lesion like this, that means it's an inherited problem. When there's a break in the tissue, but it goes all the way out to the edge of the iris, that means it came on in their lifetime through stress, toxins, and malnutrition. What I talk about in the course I teach in nutrition. I had a lady, she had a break in the tissue right here in the acquired mental speech area. She was about 42 years old, spoke fine English, and I said to her, did you ever have any trouble with your speech? She looked at me amazed. She said, I could not speak until I was 6 years old. That is because this is a history from birth on. There was also some of the men that I studied under, they were doing iridology on one another, and one saw weakness. There was no sign for 10 years later. And then there it was, clear, glaring. And they recalled that they had seen that 10 years before. So we believe that it can be as early as a 10-year early warning system, as well as a history from birth on. The way it works is the colored part of the iris is made up of fibers called trabecula. The trabecula have hundreds of thousands of nerve endings flowing through each fiber. Collectively, they go through the optic nerve to the brain, from the brain throughout the whole body. That's the anatomical connection why I think I can look in your eye and see tissue throughout the whole body. This study has been around for many, many years. Dr. Jensen is one of the most famous chiropractors that ever lived. He wrote over 40 books. The men I studied under knew him personally. We used the same notes that Dr. Jensen used. He was quite an intelligent, good man. I'm not saying that I would endorse everything in all of his books, but most everything that he taught on iridology is where the men that I learned from learned what they had taught me. When he was younger, and after he had gotten through chiropractic schooling, he was ill, and someone used iridology to help him. And as they did it, he became very intrigued. He found that the Swedish people had actually developed a system of iridology. The Germans had developed a system of iridology. The French, India, Spanish. The Chileans have a very graphic illustration. You can see here the ascending colon in the right eye on the right side. It goes up, and then you have half of the transverse colon. Then it's as if we're split right down the middle, and we go to the left eye to see the other half of the transverse colon and the descending sigmoid colon. So, as I was doing an apprenticeship under this man, he was looking at the left eye, talking about the left lung, left kidney, left leg, and then he would go to the right eye, talk about the right lung, right leg, etc. After a couple of days of this, I was still very skeptical, and I thought, well, this is hokey, because even I know the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So I waited till his client left, and then I hit him with this question. I wanted to watch him squirm, just see what he said. Well, he didn't squirm at all. He said, Joseph, it's switched in the optic nerve. It crosses back over. I believe it is a fact that both eyes represent both hemispheres of the brain, but the right eye primarily represents the right side and the left eye the left. So God knew I'd be doing it. I get mixed up easily. So he made it simple. But just as this seems to be a collection of virtually all the nerve endings in the body, so the spine has about 90% of all the nerves. Even your hands, your feet, that's why they do foot reflexology, hand reflexology. Even the ear has many, many nerve endings, connecting all of the body together through the nervous system. It would be as if I took you to the back of the plaza here and I could show you a large electrical panel. All of the circuits in the whole plaza terminate in that one place. It all is connected in one place. Then we have Dr. Jensen. Here he is. He's traveled even more. And here he is in China. And he sees again, obviously, these are all illustrated differently, but they're laid out the same. That's what impressed Dr. Jensen. This is before the internet is really being used publicly. And so he sees the lungs are at the outside, the thyroids are in the inside, brain at the top. And he thought, there has to be something to this. If all of these different practitioners have come to the same basic conclusion, then surely there's some truth to it. So he came back to America, and allegedly they did something like close to 1,000 autopsies with iridology in mind, and patented this chart. And that's why we use iridology. But let's say there was a break in the tissue over the heart area. If there is a break in the tissue, such as in this picture here, that does not show me that you have mitral valve prolapse or congestive heart failure. It simply shows me there's a weakness. This is not a diagnosis, but it does give me an idea of what's weak and what's strong. I also utilize a tool This was several thousand symptoms that allopathic physicians had put together over a period of about 30 years. An allopathic physician is your typical, more AMA type physician who is trained to manage disease. And thank God for them, because we have so many old people in America, we need disease managed. But these folks are more of functional medicine doctors. They glean from some of the best medical research in Australia, Britain, China, India, and America. They're searching for the underlying causes of the diseases, and they apply whole food vitamins, which I'll explain later, and also some of the best quality herbs in the world. But with this tool, they boiled it down to 224 concise questions. I have training to administer and then interpret this. So if I see a weakness in the heart area, and then I come over to the cardiovascular group here, and it's scored very high, then I question. We also do a case history. So if I find that your parents and your grandparents had heart disease, and suddenly you're beginning to get winded going upstairs when before you didn't, then I know we need to support your heart. So we use nutritional measures to do that, herbs and vitamins that are known to support healthy heart function. So that's what we do, and that's how we determine what is needed. And then we have a sheet called a protocol sheet. And in this, we'll write out and explain the specific things needed, and we'll add the things for your particular program. We typically have people start with a very good multivitamin mineral, a digestive enzyme, and then we go into a very in-depth 2 to 4 month cleanse of the liver. The liver produces about 13,000 compounds. It oversees close to 2,000 internal enzyme systems, filters about 100 gallons of blood a day. So it's crucial to our health. Most arthritis, stiffness, allergies reside in a congested liver. So we found tremendous results by helping people to detox very slowly and usually without any ill side effects. So that's what the evaluation entails. Thank you. Go ahead. I teach a course in nutrition called Health Solutions for Stress, Toxins, Malnutrition. We're probably the most overfed, undernourished people in the world. In this course, I explain what's happened to the water and to the soil and how that's damaged the food chain and linked to the cardiovascular, cancer, endocrine imbalances. It's very important for us to understand this. This comes with a sheet that helps to explain the things to avoid, and then the opposite side, the things to consume. It's such a frustrating thing because as soon as we start a diet or some system of eating, there's some expert that's going to tell us why we shouldn't be eating this way. So you have to become the expert to figure out which expert is right. And that's very frustrating. If they study it all the time, full time, and they can't agree, how is the layman supposed to figure it out? But in this course, I think that it will be so commonsensical to you, it will give you guidance and direction, and you'll be confident that you're headed in the right direction. Our concern is not with speed, our concern is direction. If I'm on a road and the road is kind of rough, and I'm not sure it's even the right road or I'm going the right direction, I'm going to pull over and get help. And if I finally find the right person who lays the map out, shows me the street signs, and says, look, this is how you get to the place you're trying to go. And as I go down that road, the landmarks that that person indicated are right there, then I know that I'm on the right road. I'm not going to get off that road, no matter how rough it gets. I'm confident, and I believe that that's what this course will help you to understand.